Boland are suing Richard's son, 26-year-old Timothy Graves, for attorney fees, as well as anger management and AA classes.
Order. All rise. Now it's case number 561 on the calendar in the matter of Graves, Boland versus Graves. You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated.
Mr. Graves, this is your son.
Correct.
And you are?
His stepmother.
How long have the two of you been married?
6 years.
What kind of work do you do, Mr. Graves?
I'm a facility manager.
And you?
I'm a human resources manager.
Who else lives in your home with you?
No one else.
And how old are you, Mr. Graves?
26.
You got yourself into trouble. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Your father says that he paid for attorneys for you on 2 separate occasions. One because you got yourself into trouble, and the next time because you wanted to see your son. You have a son.
I have a daughter.
A daughter. And there was a problem with visitation. So your father and stepmother helped you get a lawyer. He wants that money back. And he says he paid for anger management classes, which were a condition of your probation, even though that was a minor amount of money. I think you just threw it in. It was something like $65. You've probably spent more on him at dinner.
True, very true.
Right. Okay. Mr. Graves, why don't you tell me about the first instance where you retained an attorney for your son?
Timothy was arrested on a violation of a restraining order and tried twice to gain a release.
When was that, Mr. Graves?
April, I think, or March, somewhere around there.
It was March 19th, and he was trying to get bail and was denied bail once. And
Denied any bail?
Denied bail.
Is this the first time you've been arrested for domestic violence?
Yes.
Was it a bad case of domestic violence?
No, ma'am.
And they would not set bail for you?
No, they wouldn't. Long story, no, they wouldn't.
Well, give me the cliff notes of the long story.
The judge I was going in front of wouldn't release anybody on a violation of a protective order charge because he had released somebody on a violation of a protective order charge, and they went back to their wife or something like that.
And killed him?
Yes, ma'am.
You only burned him once.
That's all you had to do.
So you were released when, who was it, your girlfriend?
Yes.
Filed for a protective order, but then when she alleged that you violated the protective order, he said, okay. What was the nature of the alleged violation, Mr. Graves?
Me and her got into an argument over the phone.
Over the phone? So
over the phone.
She alleged that you threatened her over the phone in
Yes.
violation of the order. What'd you call her for? It's not an answer.
I was over at my friend's house, and we were just talking, and I just found something out, and I didn't like it. So I called her and confronted her about it. She really didn't like that.
Well, because it's a violation of the protective order.
Yes.
Right. That's why the judge didn't let you out. So you tried twice to get bail, and you were twice denied bail. Then what happened? Look at me.
My father basically took it upon himself to get me out.
You didn't have a discussion with him?
I talked to him several times while I was in jail, and
Did you at any time say to him, do something, help me?
I had said help me, but he once again told me to go forth with the public defender, and it just wasn't working.
And so you didn't have a subsequent conversation with him?
About
Did
getting
he?
me out?
Yes, the public defender tried for the second time to gain bail and was denied. And at that point, I imagine it looked hopeless in his opinion, and literally begged me, calling from jail, to please hire an attorney to get me out of here. I need to get out of here. Please do whatever you have to do to get me out of here.
And?
And I made that understanding very clear at the time. My wife was on the extension that if I do this, this will just be a loan. I'm not giving you this money. Pretty much if it was up to me, I would let you stay in jail to learn the lesson. So that was the condition.
Is that what you said to him?
Yes.
And what did he say to you?
Anything you can do to get me out.
When your father retained the attorney for you, Mr. Graves, was the attorney successful in securing bail for you?
Yes, ma'am.
How much?
Not sure of the amount. I don't know the
Who
amount.
posted it?
I guess my father did.
There was no bail. It was a habeas corpus trial, and he was released.
So that despite the fact that the judge said, I'm not setting bail for you, the judge is required to set reasonable bail in order to secure your appearance. So the judge got his wrist slapped, right?
Yes.
Whatever happened with that case, Mr. Graves?
It was, went through with court and everything, and I got put on probation, and it was dropped. I think I actually got time served.
Listen, if it goes through court and everything and you were put on probation, then it's not dropped. If you put on probation, it's because you were convicted. Either you were convicted after a plea or you were convicted after a trial. Did you take a plea?
No, the second-degree assault, the first charge, why I got put on a restraining order, that I got put on probation for. The violation of protective order, I got time served. That's done and over with.
So you assaulted your girlfriend.
In the sense, yes.
How many senses of assault are there?
There's a wide range.
Well, give me your range.
A cell phone at the ground and it bounces up and hit her.
Is that what she says happened or what you said happened?
That's exactly what happened.
Listen to me. Is that what she claimed?
Yes.
And how injured was she?
Not really. Any scratch on the head. Our daughter was in her room. That was the main problem.
How old is her daughter?
Our daughter's 18 months now.
So you threw a cell phone at her, you hit her in the head, and she got a gash, and your 18-month-old daughter was in the room.
Sleeping, yes.
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
And then you heard something else that you didn't like, so you called and threatened her.
Yes.
And then she said to you, you're not getting visitation with this child because you have a bad temper.
No.
Well, an attorney was necessary in order to secure you visitation with your daughter, is that right?
Yes.
If your girlfriend wasn't complaining about your conduct, there wouldn't have been need for an attorney. You could have arranged for visitation without the necessity of having an attorney.
That's what we had.
That's what you had what?
That's what me and her had. Even after I got released, I had my daughter every weekend.
And then what happened?
We just had a falling out, and it got to where it needed to go, where I had to go to court.
Do you have visitation now, Mr. Graves?
Yes, ma'am.
When?
I have her every single day during the week and every other weekend.
Is that because you work nights?
Yes, ma'am.
And child's mother works days?
Yep.
And that's by court order?
Yeah.
And that was secured for you through the attorney that your father paid for?
This is, well, yes, but me and my ex came to an agreement outside of court.
It was secured by virtue of an attorney?
Yes.
That your father got for you?
Yes.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Richard Graves says his son, Timothy Graves, owes for attorney fees from 2 separate arrests.
Okay. How did it come about that your father got you that attorney?
Because he saw that it was...
Don't tell me what he saw. There had to be a conversation.
We talked about it.
Well, that's what I'm asking you. What was the conversation?
That I had to do whatever I had to do to get my daughter.
Well, what was it that you had to do, Mr. Graves?
I had to go through court.
Right. And?
I had to hire a lawyer.
And?
And he knew that I didn't have the money to pay for a lawyer.
Don't tell me what he knew.
I didn't have the money to pay for a lawyer.
So what did you say to him?
I need your help.
And what did he say to you?
Okay.
Now, Mr. Graves, first tell me when this was that you advanced money for the second lawyer.
This was on June 8th.
Had he paid you back any of the money that he owed you for the first lawyer?
Partially, yes.
He did?
Yes.
How much did he pay you?
$315.
What did you pay him the $315 for, Mr. Graves?
I never had any recollection that I paid him the $315.
Well, tell me what you claim he said to you with regard to paying you back for the second lawyer.
We actually found that lawyer as a reference from the first lawyer that was hired. Timothy and I went to his office, sat down, gave him an overview of the case. And I asked Timothy, is this the person you want to hire? And he said, yes. I said, you realize that this is just going to add to what you owe me.
How much was the second lawyer, sir?
All told, $3,000.
What do you mean all told?
There was an initial $2,000 retainer that I put down in June, and then later on there was another $1,000 they requested.
And how much did he still owe you from the first lawyer?
$300.
So he owes you $3,300.
Correct.
Not $3,360.
This 60 was for the anger management
class.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I paid for the anger management classes out of my own pocket.
I'm asking you about the lawyers.
He knew my financial situation. He knew I didn't have any money to pay for any lawyers whatsoever. But it kind of came up as it's their granddaughter too. If I don't get to see her, they don't get to see her. I figure that's why they were helping me.
Are you working now, Mr. Graves?
Yes, ma'am.
Did your father throw a telephone at your girlfriend in front of your daughter?
No.
Did your father pick up the phone when he wasn't supposed to make contact with your girlfriend and threaten her?
No.
Was it because of your father's conduct that you were denied any kind of visitation with your daughter?
No.
Whose fault was it?
It's all mine.
Judge for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,300. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think it was a little unfair.
It's exactly what we were looking for Judge Judy to let him know this is what you need to do in life.
It's all settled. I want to get our relationship on and continue on and move on.
I'm hoping we can put this behind us, move on.
We can be a father and son.
Don't lend money to any member of your family that you're not willing to lose.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Turner versus Cisneros, Vu Mesa, step forward.
19-year-old Damel Turner is suing his former roommates, Chris Cisneros, Sarah Vu, and Mackenzie Mesa for breaking their apartment lease.
Mr. Turner, which one of these young ladies was your girlfriend?
The one on the far left.
That would be you. You are Miss Mesa?
Yes.
According to your complaint, you and your girlfriend and the co-defendant and his girlfriend, also co-defendants, you all decided to set up housekeeping together and lease an apartment.
Yes, ma'am.
You moved in with your girlfriend, he moved in with his girlfriend, and you all signed the lease.
Yes, ma'am.
And then very slowly, one by one, they all took off.
Yes, ma'am.
Did that give you any cause to pause, Mr. Turner, that there might be something wrong with you? Is not an answer.
No, ma'am.
There was never any indication that something was wrong with your behavior.
No, ma'am.
Seems odd, doesn't it, that they all moved out and left you there alone?
Yes, ma'am.
In any event, your lawsuit wants them to be responsible for the rent for the remainder of the lease and for when they left. And they say it was because of your conduct that they all left, that there were problems in the apartment precipitated by your behavior. And they're counterclaiming because they say that there is some property that was in the apartment and they want moving expenses, which you're not going to get. Be lucky if you don't get hit with rent. Don't be stupid about your moving expenses. When did you sign the lease, Mr. Turner?
June 21st of 2008.
Was it a year's lease?
Yes, ma'am.
How long had you and Miss Mesa been dating?
A year and a half now.
Had you lived together previously?
No.
Were you working?
Yes.
Had you been friends with them as a couple, or were you friendly with one of them?
I knew Daymel from work.
What work?
We work at a Round Table pizza place.
When did you move out?
I moved out in, let's see, the 1st of January this year.
Where did you go?
I moved in with my father at his place.
And when did you move out, Miss Vu?
The second to last week of November.
Why did you move out?
Chris and I broke up a few days before our 4-year anniversary.
Now, when you moved out, who paid November's rent, your share of November's rent?
I had already paid my share of November's rent, and because I was moving out on such short notice, I gave Chris my share of December's rent in cash.
Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So you fully paid for December.
Yes.
When did you move out?
I moved out at the end of November.
Why?
I moved out because I felt that...
Look at me. Don't look over there.
I felt that it was not a good environment for me to be in at the time, and...
Like what?
Well, my schoolwork was going down. I was depressed. My family was asking me to come home, and I felt that that would be a better environment for me.
I don't hear anybody talking about his bad behavior. You had a lot to say in your answer.
Well, one night, especially like where I felt like it was like definitely a sign that it wasn't a good place to be at anymore, was a week before Chris and I broke up. We were all like hanging out at our apartment, and we had friends over, and it was probably really late, like really early in the morning, around 2. We were hungry, and so we decided all to go get something to eat.
Could we get to it, please? I have places to go.
Mackenzie wanted to come with us, and Daymel decided not to let her, but and she went anyways, and so he was really angry. When we got back with the food, we were all sitting on the couch eating, and Mackenzie was sitting on the edge of the armchair, and Daymel came out and was like lecturing her, and she rolled her eyes, and so he walked up to her, grabbed her by the neck, and threw her down onto the ground from the armchair of the couch.
That was in November? Mm-hmm. Did that happen, Miss Mesa?
Yeah, to an extent that happened. We did have our fights where they would escalate sometimes.
I can understand fights escalating. I don't understand physical violence during an argument. Did you do that, Mr. Turner?
No, what happened was...
Listen, I don't want to go through the food and the couch again. Did you put your hands on her?
Yes, I shoved her.
Well, you can't do that.
I know. What happened is
How much after that did she leave?
That actually happened in October, and she left at the end of November. It was because we were having a party, and like we all had like a couple of drinks, and...
I don't care why.
Okay. What happened was that I came and yelled at Mackenzie, like, why'd you leave? We're supposed to...
I don't care.
Okay.
You can't put your hands on anybody. Was that the first time he ever put his hands on you?
No.
Was it the last time he put his hands on you?
Yes.
All right. So far, the two of you are responsible for rent, because you can't just leave. Being unhappy with your environment is not a reason for you to break a lease. Breaking up with your boyfriend is not a reason for you to break your lease. Now, you left in January. Mm-hmm. Did you pay January's rent?
I did not pay January's rent.
And you left when?
I left it, I would say, the 1st of January.
What kind of discussion did you have with Mr. Turner about the rent on the apartment?
The beginning of December, I told him that I wasn't going to be able to pay January, and that I was going to go and tell the office that it was, time for me to leave. I was going to put in my notice. Damel asked me if I could give him the notice and wait till he got a roommate, and then put in my notice at the beginning of January.
Did you have that discussion with him?
No, ma'am. He told me he was going to move to Australia with his brother, that he was going to keep paying rent until he decides on what he was doing.
Well, that was back in December. That's what he's saying. And he said that you had that discussion.
Yeah, this is December, but it's getting close to January, and he's told me that he's going to still keep paying rent until he figure out what he was going to do. He never, ever gave me any, formal or told me exactly when he was going to leave or ever went to the office and let them know either. So I can never actually get a roommate because they're all still on the lease, and the apartment won't let me put a new person on the lease until they're all off the lease.
Did you take your names off the lease?
I had signed the paper to get my name off of the lease, but I don't think it ever went through because I needed signatures from everyone else as well.
What about you?
At this point, when I went to go try and get...
The answer is either yes or no.
Yeah, but Damel's the only one who can sign us off.
Did you get your name off the lease?
No.
What about you?
No, still there.
Fine. So they owe January and February so far. How much is your share of the rent?
$283,725.
And how much were you paying in rent?
$286.
And you?
$286.75.
You each owe him $858. January, February, and I'm throwing in March. Yours is less. $849. By the end of March, sir, if you don't have roommates, I suggest you do something else. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, moving expenses on your counterclaim is out. You moved, so who cares if you move? Only he cares if you move. What property do you have there?
A queen-size mattress, a CD cabinet, a shelf, and a stereo.
Is it still there?
Yes, ma'am.
When do you want to get it out?
ASAP.
Fine, within 5 days?
Yes, that's fine with me.
Anything else?
I had a rice cooker.
Why didn't you take it with you in November?
Because...
It's not an answer.
All our things were still mixed up together, and I couldn't find it at that time. And when I went back to get it later, Damel had already changed the locks on the apartment.
When you pick up the rest of your stuff, pick up her rice maker. Okay?
Okay.
Robert Ebjean is suing his ex-fiancée, Kimberly Fonger, for a false arrest and for the return of his property and his dog.
Order. All rise. Yes, case number 604 on the calendar in the matter of Ebjean versus Fonger. Parties have been sworn in, Judge.
How do you pronounce your last name?
Fonger.
Fonger.
And Mr. Ebjean.
Correct.
How old are you, sir?
50.
Other than this arrest that you had on this charge of domestic violence, have you ever been arrested?
No.
So this arrest for domestic violence was your first arrest?
For domestic violence, yes.
I'm talking about for anything.
For anything. In 2001, wet reckless.
2001 what?
Wet reckless.
What does that mean?
That is a DUI that was reduced to a wet reckless.
So in 2001, you had one arrest for DUI?
Correct.
Other than that?
That's it.
And how long had you and Miss Fonger been a couple?
We met in April of '06 at rehab.
Nature of your addiction was alcohol?
Alcohol, correct.
And yours?
It was pills.
Your complaint alleges that you were arrested for domestic violence. The incident occurred because Miss Fonger actually assaulted you while you were driving in the car. It is your claim that ultimately the charges against you were dropped.
Correct.
For lack of evidence. The criminal charges. You allege that Miss Fonger filed for a restraining order. She never showed up. That case was dismissed.
Correct.
Then she filed for another restraining order, and she conned you into not going to court on that one. Told you she was going to drop those charges, so you didn't go to court.
Along with a little loving, yes.
Yeah.
That's correct.
And then she did go to court and did, in fact, get a protective order.
Correct.
And you want her to compensate you to the tune of $5,000. Ms. Fonger says that you did, in fact, assault her. She's got a counterclaim for her medical bills and punitive damages for the assault. So, I want you to tell me exactly your version of the events, Ms. Fonger, of what happened on the 9th of January, because you also have a claim for certain property that you claim she took while the 2 days that you were in jail before the charges were dropped, and a dog that you claim she took that belonged to you. Okay. Go.
Okay. On January 9th, we were on... Sorry, I'm nervous. We went to Pollock Casino, and we meet people, and that night, he decided not to go to the concert. So he pulled me out, and we went to Temecula Valley.
You said you had been to the concert at the casino.
Halfway.
But you went to the concert.
Right, but only halfway.
Okay. And then he wanted to leave. You were driving the car back, and?
And he was drunk.
Yes.
And he was on drugs.
And?
And then I was yelling and screaming.
And what about you?
I had 4 drinks.
And what about pills?
Nope.
Just alcohol?
Yeah, correct.
I have proof she had pills that night.
What kind of proof do you have?
A week before that, she got 120 somas by forging my doctor's signature.
But how can you prove that she had pills in her system that night?
Her actions, her behavior, it just goes from what
That's not proof. Go ahead.
When we got to, actually, between Paula Casino and Temecula Valley, he hit my head against the wall, or against the window. I was unconscious, and then he kept hitting me. He restrained me, and then the next thing I know was the police were there.
Okay. Go ahead.
Back from the concert, she didn't want to go. She wanted to stay. And with this new friend she had met, and party with them, and we were arguing. And then I'm driving, and she attacks me. I have pictures of my face being scratched. And
you wanted to leave the concert early?
I don't think so. No, we left early, but I didn't want to leave early. No.
Do you remember why?
I think it's because the couple that she'd met started making inappropriate remarks towards, like, maybe you guys could sleep in our room tonight and things like that. And I didn't want to stick around.
When had you been drinking that day?
Pretty much from noon until the concert,
And when had the defendant been drinking that day?
Along with me all day long, yeah.
So you were drinking home and you were driving while you were drinking?
No, I wasn't driving while I was
Not while you were drinking, but you had been drinking all day and you got behind the wheel of the car.
That is correct.
So what happened in the car, if you remember?
Oh, I remember. Very nice. She attacked me. I pulled over because it almost
Tell me how
wrecked.
she attacked you.
She came across my face and scratched me.
Well, what were you arguing about that caused that?
Just that she wanted to stay and I didn't. And she was being just the normal self that she always is when she takes her pills. And I didn't want to, have to take care, because she can't walk or talk after a certain amount of them, and I have to take care of her, and I didn't want to do that anymore. So I pull over into a parking lot and try to calm her down. She's running around the parking lot screaming, out of control. I can't calm her down. People call the cops. They come and they arrest me. And then they get
Do you have a police report?
She did.
I'd like to see the police report.
I never did get a police report.
I'd like to see the police report, and I would also like to see the pictures.
Here's the proof of the pills, too. She just got 120 more of them 2 weeks ago. That's probably why she can't stand up.
No.
You want pills now, Miss Funger?
No, I haven't been.
You willing to take a drug test?
I'm willing to.
Hair follicle test?
Sure.
We'll arrange for that.
Mr. Evgene has been taking drugs.
I'm just asking you, are you prepared to take a hair follicle test?
Yes.
Today?
Yes.
And you will either be exonerated or humiliated. Don't waste my time. Don't waste his time. If you've taken any drugs, it's going to show up in your hair follicle. Do you get it?
Yes.
Okay? And you would agree that if you lied to me about using drugs now, so you don't have any pills in your system, that I would have serious reservations about everything else that you told me. Do you understand
Correct.
that?
You can test Mr. Evgene, too.
I'm just asking you.
Okay.
His behavior is not bizarre. Yours is.
I'm very nervous.
That's not nerves. That's more than nerves.
Amen.
Been in the business a long time.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Robert Evgene says his ex-fiancée, Kimberly Fonger, owes for a false arrest and for the return of his property and his dog. Kimberly is countersuing for medical bills from an assault.
Well, so according to the police, you were both drunk as skunks that day. Both of you. According to the police, you both had visible signs of injury. You had a bloody lip, and he had bloody scratches on his face. They decided to arrest him, right?
Correct.
You deserve to be arrested. You were driving drunk.
Mm-hmm.
You had a fight with her. So your statement that her behavior caused you to be arrested, that's not true. She may have contributed to it, but your own behavior caused you to be arrested.
Her behavior was the one that...
Your own behavior caused you to be arrested, sir. If you were not drunk, you wouldn't have been put in that situation.
If she had not called attention to everybody and had the cops call...
You're ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. That's what happens when you drink and drive.
I understand that, but I could have
That's what happens when you drink and drive.
Could have sat in my truck all night and no one would know I've been drunk, you know, unless someone called them. And she's the one that had
Or unless you hit somebody who was traveling with their 4 children in a car.
That's another story.
That's another story.
Yeah.
I have zero
Tolerance.
sympathy for you.
I understand that.
Zero sympathy for you. I have less sympathy for you. But right now, I'm telling you right now, my inclination is to let you, if you're sober now, terrific, but to let you two drunks who were drunk on January 9th go your own way, and whatever happened to you that day, that's it. He was injured, you were injured, he got to spend some time in jail, had to bail himself out, lost a dog, lost some property, which, by the way, you have his property?
No, it's mine.
What property did she take?
The dog, the TV, the VCR, the bed.
How long had you been living together?
3 years.
I'm not bothering with it. That's your problem.
The dog, though, is like a kid. You can't take a kid from you. It's like taking a kid from you. How do you do that?
You've been living together for 3 years, is that right?
I paid for everything. It's my dog.
How long have you had the dog?
2.5 years.
Good. Can I see the medical records, please?
Yes. As well, this is the AKC, and it's
This
wrong.
is the medical records?
Yes.
That's what she had.
Thank
And
you.
Your Honor, I have a tape that says the dog's mine.
I don't care what you have. I just told him he's not getting the dog back. This is not the hospital record, madam. This is not a medical record. This tells you what to do in case you have serious vomiting or worsening or a headache or whatever. I'm not interested in that.
That's from the hospital.
Well, it's not enough for me. Will you pass this back to her, please? He had a swollen lip. He had a scratched face. Sounds to me as if you two people who were intoxicated in a car got exactly what you both deserved. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
It was just waiting to happen. It was one of those relationships that, you know, you meet in rehab, and they tell you not to date, and they're right. You don't do it.
Don't meet a man in rehab.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Frith versus Austin, step forward.
19-year-old Kimberly Frith is suing her mother, Ruth Austin, for spending a settlement check for an injury she received as a young girl.
Miss Frith, this is your mom.
Yes, ma'am.
Your complaint alleges that when you were a youngster, 6,
Yes, ma'am.
you were bitten by a dog.
Yes, ma'am.
And there was a lawsuit filed, and there was a settlement.
Mm-hmm.
Your parents got the settlement, your mother and your father. Your parents are divorced now.
Mm-hmm.
And when you turned 18, your father gave you half of
We settled
the
out of
settlement.
court. Yes, ma'am.
And you want the other half from your mother.
Yes, ma'am.
And your mother says that that money was just used to live.
Yes, exactly.
Do you have the paperwork on the settlement?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to take a look at it. I assume, Miss Frith, you and your mom have been at odds.
A little bit, yeah.
How old are you now?
I am 19.
And you live with whom?
Well, I'm staying with my father right now. I'm in the process of moving.
What are you doing?
I'm an in-home support specialist. I work with handicapped children.
Okay. So after the attorney was paid, the entire amount was $2,641. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me how you resolved this with your father.
We settled because he's been paying my cell phone bill for the past 2 years, and I've been staying with him, not paying any rent.
When did you make the arrangement with him with regard to paying your cell phone bill as a quid pro quo of this money?
When I turned 18, because my father also had spent $1,000 of my money when my grandfather passed away. And when I turned 18, he started paying the cell phone bill. And I asked him if he would help me out to go to school. And I'm actually in the process of going to school, and he's given me some money for that.
Well, this money was put into a bank account, was it not, Miss Austin?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
Back then, we had no money. We lived in motels. I worked 2 different jobs. Her dad worked shows, you know, flea markets, whatever, and we just didn't have any money.
Was there anything in the paperwork that directs that this money be placed in an interest-bearing account for your benefit.
Yes, ma'am.
Would you have her read it to me? Read to me the part of that you believe directs that this money be placed in an interest-bearing account for you. I don't see that in your paperwork, but if you believe that it's there, I'm asking you to read it to me, Ms. Frith.
Ma'am.
Just read it to me.
The undersigned understand that the parties hereby release admit no liability of any sort by reason of said accident, and that said payment and compromise is made to terminate further controversy respecting all claims for damages that said minor or undersigned have heretofore asserted or might personally.
Correct. That's a general release. That means that your parents, on behalf of themselves and you, release the person who owned the dog from any further lawsuits.
Yes, ma'am.
That's all that says.
Yes, ma'am.
Doesn't say that your parents are obligated to put the money in an interest-bearing account and turn it over to you when you're 18. If you had bills, if you had anything that was related to the dog bite, that money could be used for that. If they wished. I'm looking for a legal hook for you, and I don't see it.
Ma'am, what I was told is that if
you can't tell me what you were told. What you were told is hearsay.
If the money was not spent on me, then it shouldn't have been spent.
Is that what you think?
That's what I've seek legal counsel, and that's what I've been.
That's hearsay, and I can't help you with
She
that.
wasn't. They weren't living in a motel at the time.
I don't care whether they were or not.
It would have been put in an interest-bearing account if they actually taken it to court, but they just released the check believing that my parents would do what they were supposed to do.
Well, they didn't.
They didn't, and I'm upset.
I can see that you're upset. I can see that you're upset.
Yes, ma'am.
But what I'm telling you is you don't have a legal basis to be upset. You have a moral basis to be upset, but you don't have a legal basis to be upset. Your parents signed off on it, probably selfishly and stupidly, both of them.
Yes, ma'am.
Because this was fast money, and they didn't have to wait for the matter to go to trial, where they might have gotten some more money, but then the court would have been involved in setting up what they call a structured settlement for a minor. And the structured settlement for the minor would have said, this money has to go into a certain kind of account and can only be touched in case of absolute necessity. Parents make mistakes all the time, and they act selfishly all the time, and that's what your mother and your father did. But that doesn't mean that you have a legal claim against your mother for half the money.
Well, that's what I believe the parents' release and indemnity agreement was.
No. Parents' release just says that they release the owner of the dog from any further liability in consideration of the $4,000 less attorney's fees.
Well, I'm the one that's left with the scars. They're not.
You're absolutely right. I said to you, you have a reason to be morally distressed, but not legally distressed. So, I understand your position, and I understand your consternation. What I don't understand is, I don't consider it a big deal that your father has paid your phone bill. And I don't think it's a big deal that your father has let his daughter live in his house when she's 17 and 18 years old, rent-free. That's not a big deal. If I could have gotten away with that with my children, I would be dancing a big old dance right now. And if your father is going to help you pay for school, that's what your father is supposed to do.
And that's what my mother
That's what your father is supposed to do.
My mother's
and if your mother
also
is
supposed
able,
to
just
do
a
that.
second, and if your mother is able to, and she's not doing it, then she's not a good mother. That's not what we have courts for. What I'm telling you is your father is supposed to do whatever he's been doing for you.
And I have been helping, ma'am.
Well, I don't know how
You've
you've been
helping, putting me in debt.
Just a second. Clearly, your daughter is angry with you for
She's very
something.
angry. Yes, ma'am.
For
She's very
something,
angry.
which I'm not getting into now
Right.
because, quite frankly, I don't care why she's angry with you.
Right.
Sometimes teenage girls get angry with their mother, and they don't get happy with their mother until they're 30. And they stay happy with their father just because. That's what happens.
Right.
And what happens? Yeah, sometimes.
That's what happens.
In any event, your father doesn't deserve any kudos for doing what he's supposed to do. He's doing what he's supposed to do. He's supporting his child. How long have your parents been divorced?
9 years.
And who did you live with initially?
Well, we stayed with our mom, but I just
For how
ventured
long?
out with friends.
For how long did you stay with your mother?
I was 11, when I was about a year.
And after the year?
I moved in with some friends.
When you were how old?
12, 13, ma'am.
Yeah, that's
No,
Frith.
no.
You may have spent a lot of time with your friends, but I don't believe that when you were 11 or 12 years old, you moved in with
She
friends.
lived with me.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
All right, Ms. Frith, I'm sorry, but you don't have a claim against your mother. Case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused.
Mother, she thinks she's the best mother in the world.
21-year-old student Caroline Rest is suing her former friend, 22-year-old student Derek Trenholm, for damages to her condo after he threw a party. Derek says it was just a few friends watching the Red Sox game.
Yeah, this is case number 568 on the calendar in the matter of Rast versus Trenholm. Thank you. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You're welcome. Have a seat, y'all.
Mr. Trenholm, you and the plaintiff knew each other. She was buying a condo or a co-op.
I had previously bought it. I bought it in February.
And you made an arrangement with her for you to rent a room in her condo. According to Miss Rast's complaint, she was going to be out of town for a few days prior to your moving in.
Yes, Your Honor.
But because you were friends, she said, why don't you move in some of your stuff even before the lease period starts? I'm not going to be there. So far, are we on the same page?
Well, no, Your Honor. Actually, she said that I could move into the premises early myself.
Oh, that
To be
was
a
even
tenant.
nice. Just a second, that was even nicer.
Yes.
Chantam. Mm-hmm. So she was a great gal, and you moved in. When did you move in?
On the 13th
Of
June
of
2004.
And what furniture did you move in with, sir?
I moved in a guitar. I moved in a...
Just a second. Can you sit on it?
No.
What
You could, but I
furniture
don't
did
think
you
that would be
move in?
comfortable.
I said.
I moved a portable fold-out chair that turned into a bed. I moved in a couple of other chairs, some lamps.
Clothes?
Clothes. There's a couple bags of clothes there. And then...
Bags? You mean suitcases?
Yeah,
or
suitcases.
shopping
I had packed all my clothes up.
Now, at some point, you had a few guests over.
Yes, Your Honor.
When was that?
That was on June 18th. It was a few days prior to my birthday, and I invited a few friends over to watch the Red Sox game and celebrate my birthday.
So you were at that point a tenant.
Yes.
How much rent had you paid?
None.
Tenants pay rent.
They do, but we had no written
Mr.
contract,
Trenholm.
Your Honor.
You don't have to have a written contract, Mr. Trenholm. You can be a month-to-month tenant without it. But as long as your behind is in her apartment and you say that you were going to be a lessee, you're a tenant.
Yes, Your Honor.
Tenants pay rent.
But she had told me verbally, we had a verbal agreement that I could move in early, and that would not be the case because she knew that I was already in another lease. So it was in her goodwill that she allowed me to move in.
So you weren't a tenant.
I guess legally, no.
You were an invited guest.
I was a guest.
I love when I can reel them in. I love when they get reeled in, like fish. Remember, Bert, do you remember when you were a kid, they had those games at, I don't know if you ever went to Coney Island. You go to Coney Island? They had those fish tanks, and they gave you a fishing pole with a magnet at the end, you know, and you leaned over and you tried to catch as many as you could.
Yeah.
I liked that game as a child. All right, now back
Bigger
to you,
fish.
Mr. Trenholm. So you had a few guests over to celebrate. What national holiday were we celebrating on the 18th of June?
My 22nd birthday, Your Honor.
Did you provide libation for this group?
Meaning? You'll have to forgive me, Your Honor.
Libation, drink.
I'm a music student.
Drink,
Yes, yes.
drink, libation. It's a word. It's English.
Yes.
What kind of libation did you provide for this group?
I didn't go out and buy any because there wasn't going to be high volumes of people there. Most of my friends, the few that came over, brought their own. It was kind of like a bring your own alcohol type of thing.
Give me the approximate age of these people that you invited over.
The youngest one was me being 22, going up to the oldest one, Mike, who's 26.
How many were 22?
3.
How many were 23?
2, I believe. I think maybe 123, 124, actually.
And how many were 25?
None.
You were the oldest.
He has my age wrong. I was actually 24, and my girlfriend is 26.
One girlfriend.
Yes.
She looks young.
Oh, shh. I'm not finished. Your name is?
Mike Schaefer.
Mike. Step up here, Mike. Mike, how did your girlfriend feel being the only woman there?
She wasn't the only woman there, actually.
Really? She wasn't the only woman there?
No, she wasn't.
How many women were there?
4 or 5.
4 or 5, including your girlfriend or excluding your girlfriend?
Including, I'd estimate.
So let's say there were 5 women. We have Mr. Trenholm, who was celebrating his birthday. He's one person. Then we have 3 other 22-year-olds. That makes 4 people. A couple of little older. That makes 6 people. You're 7. 7 and 5 women. 12 people.
I invited 6 people, and a few of them brought friends. Girlfriends.
Oh, well, that's why I was just looking here, because you seem to suggest that there were just a few people. So that's a big gathering. And all these people brought their own alcohol.
Yep.
What did they do for food?
We ordered some pizza. There's a pizza place right across the street.
Okay, what time did your friends leave?
The majority of them left that evening, but Mike and his girlfriend and 2 of my other friends stayed.
Where did they sleep?
There's 2 pull-out couches in the living room of the apartment, so they stayed there, and I slept on the fold-out chair in my room.
What time did you get up in the morning?
It was relatively early, I believe 8 a.m., because I had to work that day as well.
What time do you have to be at work?
Noon. It was in New Hampshire. I had to travel.
So you had to get dressed to go to work?
Yes.
That didn't give you much opportunity to clean up.
I actually cleaned with my friends.
Yes.
Did you?
My girlfriend and my 2 female friends.
Do you have any proof of what your place looked like?
Oh,
when
I
you
do,
came home?
absolutely.
I'd like to see it, please.
I do have some pictures. And somebody,
Let's see
I just
what
want
kind of a cleaner Michael is.
I do want to say that somebody did sleep in my bed, and somebody had sex in my bed as well. There's nothing more humiliating than cleaning up somebody's used condom in the morning.
Miss Rass?
Yes.
What do you do for a living?
Well, I'm a student. I'm a full-time student, and I was working as a waitress at the time.
Okay. What are you studying?
I'm studying psychology.
What year are you in?
I am a junior now.
You seem like a relatively smart young woman. You've taken the basic psychology 101 and 103 and all those other psychology
Well, I can
classes.
spot us when I meet one.
All right. Miss Rast, let me tell you this. Okay, without using profanity, it's really not necessary all the time. Sometimes using a butter knife to kill somebody is really much more fun than using, you know, a really sharp-edged tool.
That might be true.
It takes a lot longer.
A spoon.
Trust me, it works. A spoon works just as well. But what you should have learned so far in your studies is that a 22-year-old male has the equivalent age of a 7-year-old female.
That might even be a stretch.
And this one is 24. What do you do for a living?
I'm a loan officer at a mortgage company in New
You're
Hampshire.
a loan officer. Do you have a home?
I do.
Well, on the 18th of June, why didn't you go to your own home instead of staying over? Is not an answer.
It was late. I believe it was about 2 in the morning, and we have to drive about an hour, so I thought it was safer to stay.
Why?
Because
Isn't it nicer to sleep in your own bed and wake up in your own bed in the morning?
it certainly is, but I'd hate to be on the roads tired.
How about drunk?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
No one slept in her bedroom.
She didn't say that they slept in her bedroom. She said that they had sex in her bedroom. There's a difference. That only takes, unfortunately, sometimes a split second.
And later today,
Some guy threatened to kill him, put a gun to his head.
Is he still around or is he in jail?
He's still around.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Caroline Rast says former friend Derek Trenholm owes for damages to her condo as the result of a party. Derek says the lawsuit is revenge for breaking up with Caroline's friend.
I don't know what this is here. You want to tell me what this is?
Oh, that there's spots. That's a picture of my wall. That's beer on the wall.
Why is he smiling? Bird, would you ask him why he's smiling?
Why are you smiling?
Because if you had seen the condition of the place the next morning after we cleaned it, you would realize how ridiculous it was that looks.
I am an extremely OCD person. My
well, let me
house
tell you
is
something.
immaculate.
And these stains were on your sofa?
That's my sofa stain.
Oh. And how many used condoms did you clean up?
Just the one, but that's
in your bedroom?
Pretty vile enough, yes.
You're absolutely right. Now, you brought that computer.
Yes.
Want to tell me why you brought the computer?
Whenever I leave my apartment, whenever I'm not in town, I close the computer up so it was like this and turned off when I left. I'm very protective of my computer. It has a lot of my work in it. And when I returned, the computer was open and it was on. And I do not use AOL Instant Messenger. I use just straight AOL. And Instant Messenger had been downloaded into my computer, and some people had used it, and I do have their screen names, so I do have evidence that they were on my computer. When I went to check my email, the computer was in a pool of beer. It looked like somebody had just wiped the front of it, but had not bothered to pick it up. I managed to get most of it out with a Q-tip. However, right in the mouse pad, there's still some beer that's visible if you look at it. And when the computer starts to heat up, the mouse sticks and doesn't work. And also the keys right here, they're broken, and the F4 is missing. So They're kind of glued on right now, just for functional purposes.
How much did you pay for that computer?
I want to say it was about $1,200. My dad bought it for me as a graduation gift from high school.
What do you have to say for yourself, sir?
Well, the computer she showed to me when I came back after the party, and she said, somebody did
spilled
something.
beer all over
That's
it.
what she said. And she's pointing at it saying, there's beer all over it, it's broken. And I'm looking at it saying, like, how can you possibly say that? There's nothing on it. There's no marks, there's no liquid, there's no
What
stickiness.
about your friends who used it?
I don't know if any of my friends used it. There was very few people there. I'd be surprised if that's the case.
I can show him the screen name.
So she's got a few screen names written down. It's completely ridiculous. After this incident, she told me, you know, you broke my computer. I can't believe you did that. My password was stored in there for AOL. 2 weeks later, she deleted my AOL account. I signed on. It was gone.
There's no way I can...
Just a second.
She deleted my AOL. She deleted my mail. She deleted my address book. She deleted my buddy list. And she deleted all the documents that were contained within my filing cabinet.
Show me.
I can't. There's no way to do that if somebody deletes your stuff.
There's no...
What about the beer stains all over her couch?
Those were not there when we left. It's complete fabrication. This is more about a personal vendetta.
What about the condom in her bed, sir?
That's completely false, too. That's a complete lie.
Okay.
It's ridiculous.
I changed. Not 7, 6. 6.
I told you it might be an
6. You know what he didn't learn? He didn't learn from his parents when they said, when you do something wrong, you have to say, I'm sorry, I apologize.
No one slept in her bedroom.
I'm sorry, I apologize. Let me tell you something. She didn't say that they slept in her bedroom. She said that they had sex in her bedroom. There's a difference. That only takes, unfortunately, sometimes a split second.
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Trenholm, you don't need 8 hours to use a condom. Right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, my only problem with Miss Rast, and I want to tell you something, Miss Rast, you see, I have a big problem with you, and the problem is you're only suing him for $780.
That's a problem.
As far as I'm concerned, he has to replace that computer that cost $1,200. He would have to replace these couches, according to what I see here, because you're never going to get those stains out, so I don't have to go any further. For some reason,
What about
you
the money
decide,
she
I'm
tried to
speaking! For some reason, you decided to be kind to Mr. Trenholm, something that I certainly wouldn't do under the circumstances, and sue him only for a nominal amount of money, which I am pleased and joyful about being able to award you. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $780. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I should have been suing him for a whole lot more for the cost of the computer to get fixed, as well as the damage in the apartment.
When you tell big enough lies, people listen to that over the truth.
I think that she just decided she'd lie and so that she would win the case.
I don't care if he was having, tea with the Queen. I don't care if he was having lunch with the Mafia. The moral of the story is he damaged my apartment, and he should have to pay for that.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Langari versus Cologne, step forward, please.
18-year-old student Nydia Langari is suing her ex-boyfriend, 21-year-old promoter Hector Cologne, for money loaned and the cost of a necklace.
Miss Langari, this young man used to be a boyfriend of yours, and you, according to you, loaned him some money. One small loan was for him to remain alive since somebody was after him because he owed them money. And the other loan was for some clothes that he wanted, clothes and shoes and stuff. And then you found out that he wasn't the man that you thought he was.
Exactly.
And you want a necklace back that you let him borrow.
Which I believe he pounded.
Now, Mr. Cologne says that you're crazy about him, and you gave him the money, and it was a gift. There was never any promise to pay you back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you are a special guy. You are a prize package. You are a unique man. Prime property.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Nydia Langari says ex-boyfriend Hector Cologne owes for loans and a lost necklace.
When did you first start to date this Prince Charming?
In December 23rd, 2004.
When did you make the first loan to him?
I think 2 weeks after, when he told me that some guy threatened to kill him, put a gun to his head, and I mean, he was telling me this story, and I offered to borrow the money, and he said he would pay me within 2 weeks.
Tell me about the loan that you had with this guy who put a gun to your head.
I was doing something for him,
and whatever.
No, I want you to be specific. I'm really interested. You were doing something for him. What were you doing?
I was selling drugs for him or whatever.
Okay, so he gave you drugs that you sold.
Yeah, and I supposed to owe him money. I spend the money. I owe them money.
What kind of drugs did you sell for him?
Weed.
Just marijuana.
Yeah.
How much did you sell?
It was pounds of it.
Do you love this? Do you love this, Gina? Remember that fishing game that I discussed with you with the fishing poles and the magnets? Mr. Colon, you sold pounds of marijuana for this guy. You made the money, and then you went and you spent it on something else. What'd you spend it on?
Clothes.
So you bought clothes with it. Didn't you think that that was a dangerous thing to do? How long had you known this guy?
For like 2-3 years.
Did you sell for him retail or wholesale? Shh, quiet! Did you sell in bulk to other people or little bits? Little bits. On a street corner or from your house?
They used to call me.
So you had regular customers?
Yeah.
Okay, so he had threatened to kill you?
Yeah.
With a gun? How old are you?
I'm 21.
Do you have children? Yeah. Ooh, I knew you were going to say that. I knew he was going to say. How many children do you have?
I got one daughter.
Where does she live?
With her mother in New York.
Okay. So you took the money from her and she gave you the what, $150?
180.
And you gave it to the drug dealer? Is he still around or is he in jail?
He's still around.
What's his name?
His name is...
And you gave back his money? And then you were back in business?
No, after that I started working in a restaurant.
Oh, that's good. So you went legitimate? Good. When you started working, why didn't you give her back the money?
Because she said that to not worry about it as long as I'm safe. She never said to pay her back.
That's a lie.
Okay. Now, what about the clothes that you bought for him?
He just told me to borrow the money, that's all. So he said he was going to give it back to me in 2 weeks.
Go ahead.
I used to pick up at work sometimes on my day off, and she used to give me money here and there. She used to not tell me to pay her back. She used to say, don't worry about it.
What'd she say? Just here, take this and go buy yourself something?
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? She was seriously in love with me.
That's a lie.
Okay. Now, what about the chain?
The chain, when she gave it to me, we was in her house or whatever, and she was not even supposed to have people in her house. We got caught in her house, and her mother was saying stuff in Spanish that she never raised up her daughter to have guys in the house or whatever. And the chain was already loose, and I never pawned her chain. It was
You just lost it?
I lost it. I was in the club, and it was loose, and I lost it.
Did she give it to you, or did she let you borrow it?
No, she gave it to me and said, there's a chain, so when you lay down, like when I go to sleep, to think about me.
Let me tell you something, Miss Langara. Mr. Colon, whatever he is, he's not a liar. I can tell you that right now, because right now he has acknowledged that he committed felonies for the last 3 years. Anybody that would acknowledge to me that he has been a drug dealer for a very long time, sold marijuana, bought it wholesale, sold it retail, is not going to lie to me about a stupid thing like $150 that you gave him or some clothes that you bought for him. It's not. Put your hand down. You're winning. So I have to decide whether these things that you gave him were gifts or they were loans. I don't think that they were loans. You got angry with him, according to you, because you found that he was lying to you, that he had a child, that he had a woman.
And that's the when I started to avoid him. I stopped the relationship.
Good.
Because I didn't want to be with somebody.
Miss Langara, that was very, very smart. I think you should stay away from Mr. Colon until you're really certain that he is gone legit. But these monies that you gave him, I don't believe were loans. I don't believe it, because I have to decide who's lying. And anybody so stupid as to acknowledge in front of 8 million people that he's a drug dealer is not going to lie to me about a couple of dollars in loans. Thank you very much. Case
Parties are excused. You may step out.
20-year-old secretary Tawny Tillinghast is suing her former best friend, 21-year-old office manager Tiffany Stott, for breaking a lease. Tiffany says she was threatened by one of Tawny's friends, and she is countersuing for a ruined mattress.
Quiet in the courtroom, please. Yeah, this is case number 556 on the calendar in the matter of Tillinghast versus Stott. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
How old are you, Tawny?
20.
And you?
21.
You two gals had been friends and decided to take an apartment together. According to your complaint, the defendant owes you some money because you leased this apartment and she moved out early. Didn't pay the rent for 3 months. The defendant says that her boyfriend settled with you. She's got a counterclaim. She said that your friends destroyed a mattress of hers. What prompted you to take an apartment together?
We've been best friends all our lives. We live next door to each other. I wanted to get out of my parents, and she wanted to move out to hide her relationship with her boyfriend over there.
That's you?
Yes.
Okay. How old are you?
59. 60. I just turned 60 yesterday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
You have children?
Yes.
How old?
35 and 37.
When did you lease this apartment?
In the end of May.
And how long was the lease?
6 months.
What was the rent?
$965.
So far, is all of that correct?
Yes.
You thought your parents wouldn't like the idea of going out with this gentleman?
Correct.
They think he was a little too old for you?
Correct.
When did you move out?
August 27th, 2004.
Why?
The plaintiff here, which Tawny, she had her friends over. They were drinking, smoking pot, drinking beer. There was condoms on the floor, and one of her friends had threatened me, so I called the police and I moved out.
One of her friends had threatened you with what?
Verbally threatened, and also picked up a pen and acting like she was going to.
That's not true.
Just a second. When did this happen?
The night of August 27th.
What was the argument about?
The argument was about her friends and her all over my belongings, trashing some of my stuff that I had.
Were you spending every day at the apartment?
No.
You were spending most of the time at your boyfriend's home?
Yes.
So you were really just paying the rent for this apartment as a beard?
Yes.
Are you living together now?
Yes.
Have your parents accepted that?
No. They know about it, but no, they have not.
Did you give her any money for the remaining 3 months on the lease?
I gave her $400 in, I believe it was...
When?
September.
After you left?
Correct. And then another $400 in October.
Why?
Because the day was August 28th. It was a Saturday. After her friend had threatened to throw the manager off the balcony, again, the police were called. And when I moved out, there was a verbal agreement between her and I and my boyfriend that said we will pay you $400 this month and $400 next month to make a total of $800.
Are you still living in the apartment?
No.
When did you leave?
I left right after the lease because I couldn't afford it and my bills were past due.
Tell me about your friends in the apartment. Do they spend a lot of time in the apartment, Tawny?
I have my witness, Ashley. She was in the apartment quite often because she was not doing well with her father, so she was there a lot.
Interesting. Come on up. Talk to me. You're Ashley?
Yes.
You were spending a great deal of time in the apartment?
Mm-hmm.
How many days? 5 days a week?
At least.
And where did you sleep?
In her bed.
Whose bed?
Tawny's bed.
Tawny's bed. And where did she sleep?
She slept in her bed also.
Did you pay rent?
No.
After the defendant moved out, did you continue to go there 5 days a week?
No.
Why not?
I was looking for a job over at my dad's house.
When did you stop going over there 5 days a week?
Right after all the mattress incident happened.
You mean right after August 27th?
Yeah.
That's miraculous. So you mean right after all of this happened, you stopped going over there 5 days a week?
Well, because the manager didn't want people over there that wasn't paying rent, and they said that you couldn't be over there more than 72 hours.
She didn't want any conflict, so I just stayed there by myself most of the time and just went out when I wanted to be with my friends.
What were you doing at that time? Go to school?
No, I just do housework and clean up at her house. She'd go to work and I'd stay there and do all the chores and laundry and clean.
We had planned.
What, are you kidding me or what? How old are you?
18.
You get over on this baloney with your family? Huh?
No.
So what makes you think you're going to get over with this baloney on me? I mean, do you think that they hire me because I'm stupid? No. You think that they pay me all this money because I'm an idiot? You want me to believe that you're a house cleaner in her house. Is that what you want me to believe?
That's what I do.
What? That's what you do?
Yeah.
No, she just stayed with me. She was trying to look for a job, and in the morning she'd clean up, and help me out.
What?
She was helping me out by cleaning.
Are you a big slob? Why should you? You're one person. You're one person. Why should you need to have a brigade of people to take care of you?
I was just helping her out because she needed a job and she couldn't stay with her dad, so she stayed with me a lot.
Right. That wasn't the arrangement, Tawny, my dear. The arrangement with her is it's her apartment and yours. You want her to pay half the rent. You pay half the rent. The two of you live there, not the two of you and anybody that you feel sorry for. So for half the time that she was paying rent and not living there, she was living there. And then miraculously, the smarty pants says that the day after this incident, when she left, she all of a sudden decided she could stay at home with her parents.
She actually went and stayed with her grandma for a while.
Good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're talking to your parents?
Yes.
Great. Keep that open. That's the one constant that you have.
And later today,
he got very angry because I wasn't interested in dating him. He threatened my job. He threatened my life. He said, I know where you work. I know where you live. And I hung up the phone on him.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tawny Tillinghast says her former best friend, Tiffany Stott, owes for breaking a lease. Tiffany says Tawny's partying forced her out.
She paid you. She came home. She found things going on in there that she didn't like, people living there that weren't supposed to be living there, and she was gracious enough to pay you for 2 months, or a substantial part of it for 2 months, and she wasn't there at all.
She was never there to begin with.
I got it. I got it. That's why you had the apartment to yourself. You could invite anybody who you wanted to come on over and live there, which you did. So she was very nice to you. You should have started to advertise immediately when she moved out to get a new roommate. Did you do that?
I tried to see if any of my friends...
Did you advertise for a new roommate?
It was only a one-bedroom. No one wants to share a one-bedroom.
Okay. Now, are you pursuing your counterclaim for the ruined mattress?
I don't need to. Once she brought this upon me, I figured I might as well bring something upon her.
Well, by bringing it upon her, you're also visiting it upon Bird and me. You don't want to do that, do you?
No.
Perfect. What do you do?
I'm an office manager.
You're talking to your parents?
Yes.
Great. Keep that open. That's the one constant that you have. Okay?
Okay.
Good. You withdrawing your claim for the mattress?
Yes.
Perfect. And your case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
This girl is my best friend since I've known her forever. She let some 60-year-old man change her into someone she was not.
I remember telling Tiffany, I said, watch it because Tawny is kind of wild.
Pot, smoking.
I did party. What can you say? I'm like a regular 20-year-old. I'm not like a 20-year-old dating a 60-year-old man.
She was arrested at Mervyn's for stealing merchandise, and she was ordered to pay.
She used to be sweet. Now she calls me and yells and harasses me on the phone with him whispering in the background, telling her what to say, you know.
Tawny said she had changed. That's fine. But obviously she hadn't changed.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Haynes versus Lang. Step forward, please.
County Inspector Douglas Haynes is suing his former friend, event coordinator Kimberly Lang, for the return of furniture he loaned her. Kimberly claims Douglas gave her the furniture.
Mr. Haynes, you and the defendant had a friendship, according to what I read. You met at a car dealership and you had dinner a couple of times. And it is your claim that you loaned the defendant some furniture that you had because you were doing some remodeling in your house or garage. And you now want the furniture back.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Lang says that you never loaned her this furniture. You said that you were getting rid of it, but you'd like to have it. She said yes. She did in fact take the furniture because she was new to the area and didn't have any furniture that she had brought with her. That it was not a loan, but a gift. First, show me the furniture that you allegedly loaned to her. I see two people, one with a beard and a shirt open, and one lady with glasses on.
Those are my previous neighbors, and that's the stereo cabinet behind them.
Okay. And then we have a brass bed.
Yes.
Okay. Two dressers, I see. What about this sofa? You want this back?
No, it's 23 years old.
Looks as if it was 23 years old. How long did you know Miss Lang before you loaned her this furniture?
Approximately 1 month.
And tell me the circumstances surrounding your loaning her the furniture.
Well, I'm putting an addition on my garage plus a room on top, and there was some heavy beams I had to remove. I didn't want to damage it, so I was going to put it in storage. And Kimberly didn't have any furniture yet, so I mentioned that, well, if she can store it for me and use it, then that would help me out. And on January 2nd, we delivered the furniture, but I noticed that she already had 2 dressers, and then we had some disagreements, and
Could you look at me?
Oh, okay. We had some disagreements, and we were going to meet for breakfast.
Could you look at me? Straight on. I mean, I don't want to embarrass you if you have something wrong with your neck. I just want you to look over here so I can tell what your eyes are telling me in addition to what your mouth is telling me, Mr. Haynes.
Okay. And on January 13th, we were going to meet for breakfast.
Yeah.
Well, she didn't show up, and it upset me. So I went over to see her, and I decided that I didn't want any more to do with the relationship, and I called her up and said, I don't want to do this anymore. May I have my furniture back? And she did call me on the 17th and said I could not have the furniture back, that I made a big mistake and I blew it, and also that I'd have to take her to court to get the furniture back.
Who is this person?
This is my sister, and she had 2 conversations with Kimberly when we were delivering the furniture.
Okay, step up. Tell me your name.
Sandra Haynes.
Who delivered the furniture to Miss Lang?
My brother and Kimberly both.
What did you have to do with it?
Doug was telling me, with Kimberly there, that Kimberly had agreed to store his furniture, and it was a convenient situation because she had no furniture, and so it kind of helped them both out.
Okay. That's it?
That's it. They didn't stay that long.
Do you have any other conversation with her?
Yes, I did.
When?
I believe after she got back from Los Angeles on the 17th. I called her because she had let Doug know that day that he was not getting back his furniture. So I asked Kimberly, why aren't you giving my brother back his furniture? And she said that she was angry at Doug. Doug was angry at her. She got her parents involved. They didn't want her having anything to do with him, and it was out of her hands. Number 2, yes, this was payback time. She had to get back at my brother because of breaking.
Don't tell me breaking up. I'm not interested.
Yes.
I just want to know what she said to you and what you said to her.
Conversation. And I said, I do not understand. Why can't we just come over and pick up the furniture? It has sentimental value. It's my parents' old wedding set.
And she said?
She said she'd think about it.
Okay, good. Thank you. Now I'll hear you.
Okay. I had met Doug 2 times prior to that date at the car dealership that I worked at. He was a customer. He had subsequently made a phone call to me that he had some furniture that he needed to get rid of, and he knew from our previous conversation that I had an empty apartment and that my stuff was in storage in Orange County. Asked me if I'd be interested in coming by and taking a look at the furniture because he needed to get rid of it. He was doing this remodel. I went by there. It was either the 31st or the 1st of December, or January 1st. Looked at the furniture. The next day was when he actually delivered it to my place. I did drop by his sister's house, yes, and met her for the first time, but I was quite surprised that Doug had already explained to her the arrangement that was made with the furniture because she seemed to know what was going on. The furniture was not a loan. It was actually a gift. And so I wasn't at liberty to explain to her what was going on, but I was quite surprised that she understood what was going on.
Just a second. Sure. She suggested to you that the furniture was a loan or a gift?
No. She stated, so my brother delivered the furniture this morning, yes. And how does it look, and did you set it up, and so forth. And I explained to her at the time we did set up the bed. At that point, it was pouring rain. We had a mattress in the back of Doug's truck that was being delivered to my parents. I was sleeping on the floor on a mattress. So we stopped by her house on the way to my parents to drop off that mattress. I didn't hear from Doug again until the 17th of January. I got back from Orange County. There was a message on my machine, and at that point was when he asked me to dinner. I refused to have dinner with him, and I was not interested in dating Doug. He got very angry because I wasn't interested in dating him, and he started demanding his furniture back. I don't know why he was getting upset with me at that point. He threatened my job. He threatened my life. He says, I know where you work. I know where you live. This is going to escalate, and he made some threats, and I hung up the phone on him. That's when his sister called me.
Miss Lang.
Yes.
You sound like an intelligent lady.
Thank you.
He sounds, according to you, like a nut.
Yes.
And the only nexus that you had to this nut was these pieces of furniture that you had had for 15 days.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
So if I were being a smart person, I would say to myself, miscommunication, it was a gift and now he wants it back, but he's a real nut and he's threatening me. Douglas, get a police officer, get your truck, come over and get your furniture. We now have nothing to do with each other. There is no reason for you to call me. There's no reason for you to have anything to do with me. That's what a smart person says.
Under normal circumstances?
Not a stupid person who says, now I'm dealing with a nut.
You're right.
And I have furniture that I've had for 2 weeks. Furniture that belonged to your parents may have some sentimental value to you, sir. It's junk. I mean, I've looked at it. It's junk. The only thing that looks anywhere that somebody might want to keep is this brass bed. And I may not be a furniture maven, but I have a pretty good eye. The only value that that bedroom set has is sentimental value, because other than that, it has no value. Now,
Your Honor, I do have. When I went to Orange County, when I rented a pickup truck, and I do have a receipt here that shows when I actually picked up the truck and when I actually returned it, there was furniture that I left behind because now I had an apartment full of furniture. I now had 2 dressers, a bed, a coffee table, a couch. There were things that I left behind in storage. So when
All right, let's get right into it. You know, some football games are just games, and then there are the ones that become legend. Today, we're unpacking the 2025 Music City Bowl, this incredible Illinois-Tennessee showdown that had, well, pretty much everything. A brutal defensive fight, a last-minute shocker, and a finish that literally came down to the final second. And this quote, this really sets the whole scene. Even before kickoff, Illinois head coach Brett Bielema knew his team was on the brink of something huge. He wasn't just telling them to win a game. He told them they were there to write history. And wow, did they ever. So, what does writing history even mean in this case? I mean, let's really dig into what was on the line here, because it was so much more than just another bowl trophy. So you've got this matchup, right? On one side, you have the Illinois Fighting Illini from the Big Ten. They're trying to hit a milestone that their program just hasn't seen in the modern era. And on the other side, the Tennessee Volunteers, a powerhouse from the SEC, looking to keep their own dominant streak alive. And this is where you really feel the weight of the moment for Illinois. A win wasn't just a win. It meant locking in the first back-to-back 9-win seasons in the entire history of the program. Think about that. It meant their first win against Tennessee, ever. And for the conference, it meant keeping the Big Ten's perfect bowl season alive. No pressure, right? The stakes were huge. Okay, so let's get into the game itself and how this whole thing played out. This was a classic clash of styles, you know? A high-flying, score-at-will offense going up against a tough, gritty, bend-but-don't-break defense. And to really get what happened here, you gotta understand this Tennessee offense. They were an absolute machine, averaging almost 41 points a game. They dropped 40 or more on teams 7 different times during the season. These guys were built to light up the scoreboard. But on this particular night in Nashville, they ran smack into a brick wall. And wow, does this number tell the story of the first, say, 55 minutes of the game. The Illinois D didn't just contain them, they straight up dominated. Holding that explosive offense to a season-low 278 yards, that's not just good defense, that's an absolute masterclass. So the scoring was pretty tight early on, which makes sense, right? A real defensive grind. But then in the third quarter, Illinois starts to take control. First, a massive defensive touchdown off a fumble recovery, then they punch in a rushing score. Heading into the fourth, they've built up a pretty solid 10-point cushion. But as any football fan knows, a 10-point lead is never, ever safe. And this is the part of the game where it goes from a tough, hard-fought contest to an all-time thriller. Okay, so picture this. Illinois has a 27-21 lead with less than 5 minutes left. The crowd is going nuts. That history they talked about, it's right there. You can almost touch it. All they have to do is kick the ball off, play some more of that lockdown defense, and then the absolute unthinkable happens. Tennessee freshman Joakim Dodson, on his very first kickoff return of his entire career, takes it 94 yards to the house. It was just a stunning, jaw-dropping play that sucked all the air out of the Illinois sideline. You can't make this stuff up. And just like that, with under 5 minutes to go, the lead is gone. Everything Illinois had fought for all night, all season, was suddenly slipping right through their fingers. But this is it. This is the moment where a team either crumbles under the pressure or they step up and write their own legend. Let's see how Illinois responded with their backs against the wall. After a gut punch like that kickoff return, so many teams would have folded, but not this one. Quarterback Luke Altmaier came out with incredible calm, just total poise. He methodically marched his team right down the field, picking up first downs, chewing up the clock, and putting them in position for a chip shot field goal. The entire season, all that history, it all came down to this one moment. And David Olano absolutely drilled it, a 29-yarder right through the uprights as time expired. They did it. Illinois snatched victory right back from the jaws of defeat. Unbelievable. And you gotta love the guy who led that game-winning drive, quarterback Luke Altmaier. After all that chaos, all that drama, he just summed it all up with a classic understatement. Really cool to end it that way. Yeah, I think for the fans, it was a little more than just cool. Okay, so let's pull back for a second and look at the bigger picture. Because this wild finish didn't just define a season for Illinois, it sent ripples way beyond Nashville. Say, with that victory, Illinois didn't just make program history. They helped the Big Ten Conference cap off a perfect 6-0 bowl season. And look at that stark contrast with the rival SEC, which had a rough go of it, finishing 2-5. When it comes to conference bragging rights, that's a massive statement. And of course, on the other sideline, Tennessee's coach Josh Heupel promised his team would use this heartbreaker as fuel. He said they'd learn from it, get stronger, and be back ready to roll the next season. So Illinois went to Nashville to write history, and they left with a story that's going to be told for a long, long time. They finally hit that 9-win mark 2 years in a row. The big question now is, what comes next? What's the next chapter that the Fighting Illini are going to write? All right, today we're going to break down a bowl game that was just absolutely insane. We're talking huge momentum swings, a wild comeback, and a finish so tight it came down to the very last play. This is the story of the 2025 Music City Bowl between Tennessee and Illinois. So how do you win a bowl game that's been a complete dogfight for 4 straight quarters? You know, one of those games where every single yard has been earned the hard way? Well, you win it with just 3 seconds left. With the entire game, your entire season, resting on one single play. And you win it by a margin this thin, just 2 points. That was the tiny gap that decided a game that was anything but simple. To really get how we ended up with that razor-thin finish, we're actually going to start at the very end, with the one play that decided everything. So picture it. The clock hits 0. The kick is up, and it's good. Just like that, David Olano is the hero for Illinois, delivering a walk-off victory and crushing a heart-pounding comeback attempt from Tennessee. But man, how did he even get this close? Let's rewind. Right from the opening kickoff, this was a game of inches, a real tug-of-war where you could tell neither team was going to let the other pull away. That first half really set the tone for the entire night. You can just feel the rhythm here in the first half. Tennessee lands the first punch, but Illinois comes right back and answers. Then, the defenses start to take over. Tennessee gets a huge stop, but then they follow it up with a missed field goal. That's just a brutal sequence, leaving points on the board. And of course, Illinois capitalized right before the half to nudge ahead. So we go into halftime. It's 10-7. Feels like a classic defensive struggle, right? You're thinking, okay, the next score could win it, but nobody, and I mean nobody, could have predicted the offensive fireworks that were about to be unleashed. The second half was just pure chaos, an absolute offensive explosion with a series of massive momentum swings that had fans on the edge of their seats. Right out of the gate, Illinois' defense didn't just come out to make a stop. No, they came out to make a statement. This is how quickly a game can flip on its head. A sack becomes a fumble, which becomes a scoop and score. In just a matter of seconds, Illinois forces a turnover, puts 6 on the board, and suddenly they've got a 10-point lead. It really felt like it could be the knockout blow. But it wasn't a knockout blow, not even close. Instead, it was like the opening bell for an all-out brawl. Both offenses suddenly just came to life. The teams just started trading touchdowns. Tennessee answers that defensive score with a TD of their own. Illinois punches right back with a QB run. Then Tennessee's Deshaun Bishop finds the end zone again. Illinois settles for a field goal. It was just punch, counter-punch. Neither team is giving an inch. So that brings us here. The score is 27-21, a little over 5 minutes to play, and Illinois kicks off. And what happens next is the kind of play you're going to see on highlight reels for years to come. It's a true freshman, Joachim Dotson, who takes the kick and absolutely electrifies the stadium. In one single play, the entire game gets flipped completely on its head. Tennessee goes from trailing to leading 28-27. 94 yards. That's almost the entire length of the field. A game-changing special teams play from a freshman when his team needed it the absolute most. And here's the most amazing part. He almost didn't get a clean start. He actually dropped the initial kick, had to scoop it up off the turf, and then took off for that 94-yard touchdown. I mean, the composure, it's just unbelievable. So Tennessee has the lead, 28-27. There's 4 minutes and 58 seconds left on the clock. All the momentum in the world is on their side, but now it's Illinois' ball. And this right here, this is where the game was truly won. You know, this final drive wasn't about flash. It was about flawless execution. Illinois got the ball and just refused to give it back. The key moment was a super gutsy 4th-and-1 conversion that kept their season alive. From there, it was a masterclass in clock management. They just methodically moved on the field, bleeding the clock, forcing Tennessee to burn all their timeouts, until all that was left was the game-winning kick as time expired. So when you look back, how did Illinois pull this thing off? Well, it came down to a few key performances and one perfectly executed final drive. A big part of the story really comes down to the quarterbacks. Tennessee relied heavily on its ground game, but Illinois' Luke Altmyer was a true dual threat. He made plays with his arm and, crucially, with his legs, accounting for 2 touchdowns and orchestrating that methodical, ice-in-his-veins final drive. In the end, Illinois gets a huge program win, finishing 9-4 and building some serious momentum for next season. For Tennessee, it's just a heartbreaker. A brilliant comeback that fell just short because they couldn't get that one final stop. This game was the absolute definition of a bowl season thriller. It was such a clash of styles, wasn't it? You had Tennessee's explosive, game-breaking kickoff return versus Illinois' slow, methodical, game-winning drive that just bled the clock dry. And that leaves us with one final thought. In a game that's all about moments, what truly defines victory? Is it the spectacular, explosive play that seizes all the momentum in an instant? Or is it the cold, calculated, methodical execution that leaves your opponent with no time left to answer? Something to think about.
Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are breaking down a college football game that honestly felt like something out of a movie. We've got a quarterback running smack into a referee, a wild, whiplash-inducing comeback, and a final drive that did more than just win the game, it literally rewrote the history books. So let's just start with the big question, right? What happens when a quarterback running full steam ahead just plows into an official? Well, in the 2025 Music City Bowl, we got our answer. And believe me, it turned out to be one of the most crucial and frankly, one of the weirdest plays of the entire season. Okay, so picture this. The play starts, it's supposed to be a pass, but Illinois QB Luke Altmyer sees a lane and just takes off. He's dodging defenders, he's got some open field, and then wham! He just runs straight into a referee. And here's the crazy part. He literally bounces off the guy, like a pinball, keeps his balance, and still manages to pick up the first down. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. It was just an unbelievable play. All right, so how did we even get to this absolutely chaotic moment? That play wasn't just random. It happened at a super critical point in the game. Let's set the stage for this collision course. So we're in Nashville, right? It's the Music City Bowl. You've got the Illinois Fighting Illini squaring off against the Tennessee Volunteers. And for both of these teams, this wasn't just another game. They were both fighting for a huge win to really cap off their seasons.
And this is where things get really intense. We're late in the third quarter here. Illinois is just barely holding on to a 3-point lead. And look where they are on the field, on the 41-yard line, deep in Tennessee territory. I mean, this is a massive moment. Every single play, every yard could decide the game.
So that crazy collision with the ref? Yeah, that was way more than just a funny highlight. It was a total game changer. It gave Illinois a brand new set of downs, and Altmyer, probably running on pure adrenaline, finishes that same drive with a touchdown. At that point, with a pretty solid lead, it really felt like Illinois had this thing in the bag.
But you know how it is in college football. The second you think a game is over, it's not.
The momentum was about to swing, and I mean violently swing, in the complete opposite direction. Tennessee was about to come roaring back.
And just look at how fast this all unraveled for Illinois. Early in the fourth, Tennessee's Deshaun Bishop gets in for a 12-yard touchdown. Okay, fine. But then, on the very next kickoff, Joakim Dodson sees a lane, hits it, and he is gone. 94 yards to the house. An absolute soul-crushing play for Illinois.
And just like that, poof, the game is completely flipped on its head. In what felt like the blink of an eye, Illinois goes from being in total control to suddenly trailing. All that momentum they had, it was gone, and all that pressure was right back on them. So this is it. This is what it all comes down to, the ultimate test for a quarterback. The game, the bowl trophy, and a little piece of history are all on the line, and the ball is right back in Luke Altmaier's hands for one last game-winning drive. And with the clock ticking down, Luke Altmaier was just ice cold. He was absolutely methodical. He led them on this 13-play, 65-yard march right down the field. Smart throws, perfect clock management, just slowly and surely picking apart that Tennessee defense, getting his team into field goal range. And when you look at his final numbers for the game, you really get the full picture of just how valuable he was. This guy wasn't just a quarterback standing in the pocket. He was a weapon. I mean, nearly 200 yards passing, over 50 yards rushing, and a touchdown through the air and on the ground. He was, without a doubt, the engine for that Illinois offense all night long. So that incredible drive puts it all on the shoulders, or the foot, of the kicker, David Alano. Seconds are left. He steps up, and he just drills it. The kick is good. Illinois wins in a heart-stopper, 30-28. Pure joy on one sideline, absolute devastation on the other. What an electric finish. But here's the thing. The impact of that one kick was so much bigger than just the final score. This win wasn't just about a bowl game trophy. No, this was about pushing the entire Illinois football program to a whole new level. And after the game, head coach Brett Bielema just nailed it. He told his team, "I think people usually either read about history or write history, and this group's writing history." I mean, wow, what a perfect way to describe what they just accomplished. And this is the history he's talking about. That win was their 9th of the season. And get this, for the first time in the entire long history of Illinois football, the program has put together back-to-back seasons with 9 wins. That is a huge, huge deal for them. So we come back to that final question. Can one single chaotic play really define a team's whole season and change its history forever? Well, when you look at what happened with Illinois, the answer has to be a resounding yes. A moment that started with a quarterback bouncing off a referee somehow ended with the team writing its name in the history books.